I would also like to introduce your moderator for your Q&A, Nicole Kessel. Come on up. Nicole is both a passionate educator and an active entrepreneur as an adjunct faculty member in multiple departments at the University of New Mexico, including the Department of Arts, Leadership and Business, and the Department of Film and Digital Arts. Her teaching emphasizes embodied learning and transdisciplinary curriculum development. I want to take her classes. Yes, I do want to take her classes. She has collaborated extensively with Albuquerque's local art and film communities to provide real-world projects and collaborations to her students. So welcome, please have a seat. Okay, we're gonna open it up for a Q&A. Do we have any of the other filmmakers here? Oh, yeah, we're going to give you mics. Actually, keep that one, Karen. We want to get the other two. Oh, my goodness. That's perfect. Okay, here we go. We just want to make sure we give you sanitized ones. Oh. All right, and then you all can share. Do you have any questions to start off with? Yes, right over here.
My first question is, I know Mario, but I don't know the name of the filmmaker next to him. And what project did she do?
Yes. Well, I'm actually not the filmmaker. The director and writer was unable to make it, and that was the closest one, so I came. My name is Robin Kennedy. I was Gramma in Ain't No Mercy for Rabbits.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you want to use this mic, Mario?
No, I can get past it.
Other questions? We have some people with mics here that can come to you.
I know I have a question, maybe as we wait for the mic to go around here. I think I can probably speak for all of us in saying that these films were very touching and expanded our perspectives in some ways. And so I guess what I really would like to know is what were your reasons for making this film, Mario? And then Robin, maybe you could tell us more about how you got involved with this film project after that. So I'll let you take that, Mario.
Yeah, so I decided to make a film that kind of dealt with my childhood issues, childhood trauma, with addiction basically with my mother. So I thought I'd write something to try and cope with that. And in some way honor and, because basically the story's based on my mom, loosely. Well, it's based on her, but I changed the children a little bit. I'm the younger boy in my story. And so for me it was just helpful to get the story out, just kind of cathartically, just to have it on paper. And also I wanted to show that the original intent was to show that someone that gets caught up in using drugs isn't necessarily a bad person. There's still another side to them, and that's what my ultimate goal was. But I also wanted to reflect on what the repercussions are, what's the waves that go back through the children, as it's not just a one person's experience. And each kid has their own experience with it, and I was just, yeah, that was the reason why I did it. Yeah.
Well, and I noticed in the film you're not necessarily providing answers, right? You're asking the audience to ask questions, right? To get dynamically involved with the characters in the situation. And I know I felt that way, you know, the sense of being trapped, if you will. Yeah, so that came across loud and clear. It was a beautiful film, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So Robin, how did you get involved with Ain't No Mercy for Rabbits?
That's a really good question. I grew up in an agricultural community, and theater and arts was never in my future. I was on Facebook and I had this ad pop up for an audition for this role. And I ignored it multiple times, and finally after 20 times of seeing this post, I decided to read all about it and was like, wow, I sort of fit the role. But I'm not gonna do it. Well, I eventually did it, and she chose me, and I basically just auditioned just to tell myself I am not an actress. And a lot of people call me a liar now.
I know, right? That was an amazing performance and just beautiful. Oh,
Thank you.
yes, I'm happy you jumped in and did it. Have you done more films since?
I've done a little background. I am working with other projects, and as you know, we can't disclose
Yes.
what we're working on. So, but I've got those things in the making.
Wonderful. Both of these films, there are children involved in the filming process, and so I'm curious what working with children was like. And for you, in that one scene where you're kind of sparring with Roan, right? That was intense, and you know, of course, we're dealing with heavy subjects with abuse and addiction as well in your film. So what was that like working with children in these films?
So interesting. So when I went into making this film, I wanted to tell a family story, basically. So it's really all my family in there. So those are my children that are playing the two boys, and that's my niece who's playing the older sister. And so, but even that, it was still interesting, because then I had to open up ideas to them about my life and my mother, who she was, just by telling the story. But yeah, it was really interesting, and it was interesting to work with them on a professional level, like knowing that they have their limits too of how long they can. Okay.
Yeah.
My son, like, he did the best sleeping scene because he fell asleep during the singing songs. Like, he was great.
He was very comfortable.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
We have a question up front here.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to ask about, you know, casting the children. They were your kids, so that helps. And then, how you were introducing those ideas and how you were able to talk to them professionally. And like you were saying, you're opening up your life a little bit, maybe more than you would as a father to your children. And for the context of the background, but also what you want to see in the scene, or a specific kind of chemistry. But if it's emulating that you know, your youth, I guess the question is, how are you allowing the artistry, how are you allowing it to kind of, in the moment, go away from the exact facts of what happened, and how you're allowing your children to tell that new story?
So what I figured was helpful for me is my younger one, who played the younger boy. I didn't tell him much of the details, so I kind of wanted to have kind of an innocence about him, and an unknowing, like his character doesn't know anyway exactly what's going on. And I think by not telling him much of the actual story, I think it helped convey that, like, innocence kind of that he has and what he brought to the story. And so there was like a curiosity in him that I was able to capture, I believe, that I think fed into that. And I think that answers most of it.
Another question?
Hi. So I really enjoyed your film, and I like the dynamic of how personal it is for you. And I guess I think what I think so interesting about this is the fact that the older son, you know, when he's talking to his sister, like, oh, I hate her, but you know, when he's with her, you know, he pretends, you know, to be happy, and he shows his true feelings. But I guess the question I ask is, since this is such a personal, true story to you, was it difficult writing it and filming it because it's so personal to you?
It was actually. It was not so much. It was difficult writing, but actually writing was it was kind of freeing in a sense. Like, so many years, like, I didn't even talk about the situation or talk. Most people who know me, even now, think my mom passed of a heart attack when I was a kid. But just to be able to say it out loud and write it down was very helpful. In terms of the second part of the question, yeah, there was some intense moments while we were filming. And so going back, I would have reshot a couple of the scenes. But in the moment, it just was very intense and felt almost too real for me. So I just kind of had to pull back. But yeah.
Yeah, do you want to share your experience with the children before we move on real quick, Robin?
Well, since this was my first film, and it was also Roan, or Lindsay's first film, it was a new experience for both of us, and we had an awesome director. Having to work with two people that had no experience in this industry. We did have some times where, you know, we all got tired. And I finally, the cameraman was trying to get the little girl to get up to do a scene, to do some kind of scene. But we were out there, it was 100-degree weather, we were both sunburned, we were both dehydrated. And she was 7 years old. She was mentally breaking down. And I just told him, I said, she needs a break. But, you know, she was a trooper.
Yeah.
She did a really great job.
I would never have guessed that both of you were brand spanking new. How about you guys? Would you agree with that? And for any of my student filmmakers who are here, just remember that when you're working with kids, build in those breaks, right? It's so important. Thank you, Robin. Yeah.
I was going to ask about your film as well. I was very impressed with your performance, and I was wondering, because compared to the other films, your film was very much otherworldly. And I was wondering what it was like to act and perform within a world that is almost very, very little, very unlike ours.
Well, that film was filmed in Nebraska. We had, they called it the hurricane cyclone. It happened in March, and it devastated 2/3 of our roads in our state. And what you saw there, where the trailer was, that was, it was a cornfield. And there was a pivot that was completely destroyed, and all you saw was maybe this part of a tire. And if you've ever seen a pivot before, I mean, I encourage you to go and look at one in person to see how big they are. Our state was devastated, and this film is pretty much a futuristic film about the government taking control of the water, which not too long after she had written that out and started casting it, our government did decide that water is now a commodity. And for me, I have my own well, and I'm extremely fortunate for that, because my neighbors don't, and they have to go get well from a nearby community. And so this really has me with a deeper appreciation. I don't know if you understood that, you know, when the little girl was going potty in the deal, they were rendering the urine, reusing it, recycling it, and then going to get some water out of a creek just to survive on. Did I answer your question, or am I completely off the side?
My question to you, Robin, is who directed it? Was it a man or a woman or both? I didn't understand that. Is it a female, driven project?
The director was, the writer and director was Aliza Brugger. She was born and raised in Nebraska in a farming community, just like what I grew up in.
We have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Okay, I have one if the audience doesn't. Mario, you from New Mexico originally?
Yeah.
And so when I was reading about your film, you based it on, I think the audience would appreciate this, the South Valley region,
Yeah.
am I correct?
Yeah,
Would
that's
you
right.
speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in the South Valley. But, yeah. So been there a long time. My family's been there for a very long time. So yeah, so I set the story there. I would like to have filmed there. The problem with COVID, it was hard to, I live in Los Angeles, so it was hard to come back. So I found a location out in Riverside, and I kind of dressed it out. And the restaurant was based on a restaurant that's on Isleta. So I used that, I kind of rebuilt that restaurant. Well, I found a location that had shut down because of COVID that I could use in Riverside, California. But yeah,
what was it like working with the COVID protocols? I know, I'm sure, did you experience that too, Robin?
No, actually ours was filmed in 2019, just before COVID, so we were pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough just because it was hard to get cast, and then we had to have such a small crew as well. So a couple of scenes I had to cut out, and then the larger scenes, like the restaurant scenes, were literally there was like 5 people, so I had to make it, and now with sound, make it fill up the space. And I think I kind of got it to work. I mean, I would have liked to see more.
That was fabulous, right? None of us would have guessed that. So it was quite effective. I think that ingenuity will come in handy as you move forward with your filmmaking career. I love it. Are you here in Albuquerque still, or are you outside?
No, I'm still back I'm in LA.
In LA?
Yes.
Okay. That wraps our Q&A for today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Robin, Mario, for coming to watch with us and answer some of these questions. This is fabulous. Stick around for the rest of the festival. You guys can grab a schedule. Come to some of the other wonderful events if you can. I hope I see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. And on that note, if you are